YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Mace back with another video. Today we're going to talk about just how I transitioned from the break and retest strategy to supply and demand. Now, if you guys been watching my videos, you know all I traded was break and retest. That's how I had my first profitable year in 2023. In 2024, I was still going on with it strong, but I transitioned from the 1 hour to the 15 minute because I went into indices. And if you know, indices move faster than forex pairs. So I went to a lower time frame and I started trading break and retest off on NAS, US 30. Then I went back into gold, and that's how I got my 3 pairs. So what happened was I just started to notice that price would usually reverse a little bit deeper than I usually would want it to. So the break and retest, it's consistent, but there's times where the pullback would be deeper than usual, and that would usually stop me out before going my way. So there's a lot of times I would see myself losing trades that could have been winners. But also I noticed that a lot of my targets, because I also use the fibs, so I noticed a lot of times my targets wouldn't get really touched because where I had my stop loss and where I had my TP, what happened is you always want to give the market some room. And what was happening was, because of the room I was giving market for my stop loss, the TP wasn't as big as I wanted to be, because I always want to catch a 1.5 or 1 to 2 risk to reward. So right, let's say risk $1,000, I want to get either $1,500 or $2,000. That's how I usually do it. I don't try to be too greedy to try to go from 1 to 5, 1 to 3. I've caught them before now, but that's nothing, or that's something I don't always try to go for, because you also want to be realistic. You don't know when the market's going to reverse. You don't know how the market's going to move. You know what I mean? Because we don't control the market. I always try to say that we don't control the market, so we don't know what the market will do at any given day. We don't know. So yeah, I went into some research, and that's how I found a person my wife always used to watch back then. His name is Dole. I started watching him a little bit more, started following him a little bit more to see how supply and demand work. Because what you want to do is, when you want to learn something, you have to go to someone who's already successful in it. Understand? You don't want to know, if you want to know about real estate, you're not going to go to someone who never bought a house or who doesn't have properties. You want to go to someone who has properties. So I went to a guy who said that he's profitable in the supply and demand setups whatsoever. I followed him for a while, and he speaks truth. He is profitable. He knows his thing. So I went and I started to learn a little bit on what he looks at, what he looks for, what he doesn't look for, what he considers a good setup, what he considers a bad setup, and I just put my little mix inside of it. So from there, all I did was I used my 1 hour time frame, my 15-minute time frame, but I always would enter on my 5 minute, and I would just look at certain key levels, and I would take targets from those areas. So that's how I implemented my 5-minute supply and demand setup. So I'll show you guys on the screen right now type setups I look at, what I look for, and how I react off them. So this is my live chart right now. This was the last gold setup I took. This was on Thursday. I took this like Thursday night, came out of it that morning at 4, so I made some money in my sleep. But these were the last few gold setups that I took. If you can see, so got a nice win on Thursday, nice win on Wednesday, nice win on Tuesday. But you know, also notice that this is the 15 minute, so I'm just here because, like I say, I have to go through all of those time frames in order to get my entry. So these would be the setups that I took on the gold setups. So you notice here I had a supply and demand setup right here. So this was a demand, price went back into that demand, give me my entry, a nice 2 to 1, 1 to 2 I should say, right here once more. So it was at this area right here, the price tapped back into this demand right here, got my entry, a nice 1 to almost a 2 to 1 on that one. Then it was also another one, right, where is it, right here. This was on Thursday. This was the demand right here, but it was a low probability demand. That's what I want to talk about. So it's high probabilities and it's low probabilities, right? So that was a high probability demand. Where was it? It was around here somewhere that I got into it. It's right around here. Where I got into it. Yep, right now. And I'll tell you why the stop loss was where it was. That's why I see was want to give the price some wiggle room, because we don't control price, so we don't know how price wants to move within certain areas. So I'm gonna just make something here right now to let you know this was also a high right there. That was also a high. So how you know those were highs and lows? Because now when you make your trends, you have impulse here, you have a pullback, you have an impulse there, you have a pullback, you have an impulse there, you have a pullback, right? So we notice that we have impulse and pullback. So you also make sure you put your stop loss around certain high areas, key areas where you're not looking for price to get back to a break, because if so, you should be looking for some kind of reversal. So that's what I try to look at when I do my supply and demand. So if we go in right now, usually the break and retest would be an impulse, a pullback, continuation, and you will look for price to come back to around this area here, which will be the resistance area, respect that area to go up more. That would be the break and retest. So I'll put a zone here right now. That's your break and retest zone, right? And then you have a new supply here, resistance here, and we will look to see if price wants to now pull back to this area, give some type of confirmation, whether it be wicks or a bullish engulfing candle, to go up higher, right? As for supply and demand, you're looking for the origin of a big push. So once you get a big push, you now know that you have some kind of demand at the bottom here. Will come some kind of demand at the bottom there, and you will look for price to gradually get back into this area. Sometimes price can get back very aggressively, or sometimes price can take some time to get back to the area before going up, right? So those are things you look at. I look at when I trying to take whatever setup I'm going to take. So back to my chart, what I usually do, I'll go on the 1 hour, and within my 1 hour I want to identify key areas. So I want to identify, let's go to this setup here, right? I want to identify key areas. So I noticed that I had an impulse here, I had a pullback, I had an impulse here, I had a pullback, I had a double bottom, then I had a push up here, right? So after I got a pull up here, pull back here, I want to see what price wants to do. So right now, I noticed that I made a double top here, and then I dropped, then I made a pullback, then I dropped, right? So for me seeing that, I noticed that I also got some sort of supply around this area. So because I see that on the 1 hour, let me press bar replay. Because I see this on the 1 hour, I now want to, because don't forget, the 1 hour just looks like this at the moment. This is how the 1 hour would have looked at the moment. So I had some gaps right here, and I noticed that I made a double top, broke this low, which is consolidation phase also, but I also broke this little key area here. So I broke this right here, and I broke this right here. So I broke two areas and key areas. So now I'm going on the 15-minute, and I want to see the structure that 15-minute is opposing for me. So on 15-minute, I noticed that I had this big impulsive move, then I had this big drop, had this move once more, had this little range going on. So like I say, this was a double top right there. Price couldn't break through that. Price made a small consolidation area around here, a little range, and price finally broke it, retest. So this would be considered a break and retest right now in a way. You see that there, but I don't trade them like I say. So you had push down, a pull back, and you broke one and two, a major key area right now, right? So cool. We know that we broke that. So now what I want to do on the 1 hour, like I said, you notice we had a gap around here that needs to be filled. And on 15 minute, you notice there's no gap that needs to be filled, but on the 1 hour, it needs to be filled. So you know the higher the time frame, the more valuable it is. So what I did was I'll go on the 5 minute and I will look to see if I can find any entry for my trade. So right now I'm noticing that I'm in a downtrend on the 5 minute. How? So I have impulse, I have a pullback, I have impulse, I have a pullback, impulse, pullback, impulse, right? Now price pushed back up and made a double bottom once more. So right now I'm looking to see if I can get some kind of buy opportunity within this market, right? I'll put my area around here, my demand around here. And in another video, I'll show you how to best draw demand or supply zone. I'll wait for price to tap back into that area, which is doing now. And once I see this bullish candle, that would be my entry. Stop loss below. Entry, TP at this area. So now we go back on the 1 hour. This is how your 1 hour TP will look. 15 minute. 5 minute, you just have the faith. Believe that it's going to work out. Believe that you're going to win the trade. Don't be antsy. Don't get scared. Don't forget the price will have to move. So you will have to be in drawdown at times. And you just go from there. And like that, price won. So you notice I almost got stopped out, but that's because, don't forget, we have liquidity around this area because price never tapped back into this area, so that this could be liquidity. So price could have been trying to target this. So this was really a risky trade. But I noticed if I put my stop loss below this, I would have a less higher risk to reward, which I didn't, which I wasn't interested in, because I always want to try get at least a 1 or 1.5 to 2 to 1 on each trade that I take. So that's why you see a lot. It will be a lot of setups that I will pass up on, depending on the risk to reward. So let me come off this. We go back now. But yeah, so right now, if I were to take a setup at the moment, I would have to go on this 1 hour. I would have to look at where price is. Right now, price is almost at I believe this is a 4 hour high. Yep, a 4 hour high price is almost targeting. But I also think this is the all-time high. Once more, yep, all-time high is going to target back once more again, because this is the all-time high. The price is, like I said, I'm back there. So what I want to do is I will look at key areas. So that's a key area right there that I'm looking at. I can see that I'm still in an uptrend, right? I do see some gaps around here that could be filled, which can also be a resistance area right here that price broke out of. So price could want to retest that area, but there's also gaps around here. So I'm seeing all of that. So that's how I start to make my conclusion on what is what. So right now I have a low already, which is this, and I will identify how you do key lows and stuff, because this would be the low now, because this was the low, but then price wicked. So now you have to make sure price breaks this wick now. So that would be my key low, and these are almost equal highs. I wouldn't really consider this a break of structure, because as soon as it broke out of it, it pushed back down. So I wouldn't really consider it a break of structure. I would usually consider that a fake out. But other than that, this would be my area here. I'm interested in if to sell if price were to break that. But now I'll go on the 1 hour, on the 5 minute. I will check out how my 5 minute structure is looking. So 5 minute structure, I had some consolidation around here, around these areas. As you can see, price broke it, pull back, broke this area here, push up, push down. So now price is breaking areas because price broke this, but then you notice price pushed back up, and that's where we always go back here. And you notice right here, price barely broke it but pushed back down. So this is what I can say once again consider a fake out, and now price is pushing back down again. So the only thing I can see right now happening at the moment would be this right there. This got broken. This can be a gap right there that needed to be filled, which it's been filled now. You had the break, you had the candle confirmation. This could be a stop loss here, and your targets can now would have to go back to this area, because this would be a one-to-one, because this is the only area you could carry price back to at the moment, because this is the support. But if price were to break that successfully, then you could carry that all the way back down to these areas here. And that's how I usually trade the supply and demand. So it's been working out for me for quite some time now. Was able to get some losses, able to get some wins of these things like that. Right now it's not. This was a setup I was looking at, but it didn't meet my criteria, so it didn't take that trade. And this was a trade that actually got me last night, because I was in this trade last night. It was started to do good, but then it just reversed on me. So that's all in the game. I don't hurt my head about those things. You'll catch win, you'll catch losses. This was another loss there. This was a nice win. This was a nice win as well. Nice win. So if you can see, it's really successful. This was a nice loss. There was a good win there. I also trade US 30. I think I got a win of this one there. Win of this one there. Was doing decent on this one, and price just reversed. So this was out of 1-to-1. This was already out of 1-to-1 on this one. And what happened was I end up overlooking something, because this was a resistance area, and price literally just tapped back at the resistance that it broke, because this was a resistance. Price broke there, resistance, price pushed down, finally broke it. All it did was retest. So this would be considered a break and retest right there. Didn't notice the resistance at that moment, and that's what happened. I had the 1-to-1. I was looking for price to go back to fill in some gaps on this area. Price didn't. I got stopped out, but made back up it of this nice trade there. Then I also got one prior to that. So like I say, it's consistent. It's just, especially on the 5-minute, you have to be very mindful of when you're entering, how you're entering, and that's why I have my 13 EMA, my 200 EMA to help me out with that, to give me more confluences, give me more confident in the trade. But at the end, you still always have to go back on the higher time frame just to see the overall trend and where you're at and where you're trying to go. But anyways, guys, I think that'll be all for the day. Like I say, I'll try and keep posting videos. I'll say probably daily, or like probably 3 times a week. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, share it. It'll help me out to make more content. I just want to be able to spread whatever knowledge I was able to gain in the foreign exchange market for the past few years. I don't give it to anyone else who looking to get into this, who the upcoming traders, the ones who are still struggling, because I was there. I struggled. I did all those things. I did mentorships. I do all these things, and unless you go there, you learn these things for yourself, or you take advice from real people and not just people who try and make money off of you, then you will always be stuck in a limbo. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for the day. Peace and love. God bless you all.